Good evening. It is 6:50 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, October 11th. I'm here for a market update, um, looking at the economic calendar here. Well, we had no data in the New York session, right? So we had some data for GBP overnight, but that had little to no impact um, as markets were primarily ranging, waiting for the bulk of data that is more coming tomorrow and for the rest of the week, right? So we had a very light data, and I said this morning that I was expecting a low volume day and perhaps a pullback, and we actually got that. So we were coming up to this previous level of sell side liquidity here, and I was expecting, since we had a little bit of a slowdown, to at least have a pullback to these previous highs here before continuing, or a potential lower pullback to this level before continuing. And we ended up getting that idea play out as we retested this level and continued to the upside, basically closing the day off exactly where we started it. So we're just basically haven't done anything in particular, nothing really happening here. So same trade ideas stand. As long as we stay below this level, we could end up getting another pullback to the same level before going up, or coming back down again before going to the upside and making some more bullish structure. So we've printed these new highs here. We're struggling to break this previous low, this previous key level, this 4-hour break of structure, 113.3 area. So likely to range or pull back if we can't break back above. But once we break above this level, then we've got a nice range to go to retest the highs. And if we break those highs with potentially the fundamental catalyst of the inflation data, among other things, for the rest of the week, we may end up getting this continuation to the next key level here, 116.76. So this is a higher time frame next target after we fill these highs and break higher. If not, again, I'm waiting for a potential pullback, but so far nothing to report other than just sideways price action, which was expected. Now, US 500, same thing. VIX is still at the same highs, and the equity markets had the bounce from the lows as expected, but came back right to the weekly key level and bounced. So again, we're just sideways, nothing else to report here. Again, investors are waiting for the data to come out tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, and that makes sense. We're expecting that low volume day. Now, looking at gold, I took a trade today based on these trade ideas here, and I took a loss. I took a loss, even though I was expecting a pullback, low volume volatility. The trade idea fit my system, therefore I took it, right? So my system dictates, basically, I had trend confirmations, the daily time frame. Let's wait for this to load. So the daily time frame is bearish, right? Obviously, we have this. Anyone could see this bearish price action, and we came up from these lows, from new lows. We came up to pull back to test previous high levels, and we're rejecting, and we're even rejecting back below these previous higher time frame lows around the 1700, 1690 areas, and we're back below, trading below these previous highs and below this previous low here. So we're on the daily time frame, we're very clearly within this bearish structure. Now, if I zoom into the 4-hour, now on the 4-hour, we can see that from this pullback structure, we had printed new highs, testing the levels around 720, 1730s, the higher time frame supply area right here, and we had this double top and a new break of structure below the 1700s, thus invalidating this pullback structure, flipping the structure of in the 4 hour into bearish territory. So now in my market structure confirms my daily and my 4 hour is bearish after this confirmation right here. Now zooming in even further, on the 1 hour time frame, we're bearish as well, right? So to break this market structure down, we created this low, this lower high, and this lower high created this new lower low. We had a failure to break, but when we retested this previous 1 hour resistance level, this was valid sells based on my system. It was valid sells because I have my daily structure is bearish, my 4 hour structure is bearish, and my 1 hour just printed a new lower low, and we're creating a 1 hour double top. Now the reason that it failed is based on what we were talking about, having low volume volatility, the US dollar losing momentum and rejecting sell-side liquidity zones. We had all the fundamental confluence of investors staying on the sidelines prior to the inflation data, and we're also testing this previous demand zone that created these new higher highs. So in terms of all those factors, it made this trade idea not the highest probability, not the highest quality. Even though it fit my system rules, it wasn't an A+ setup. It was still valid, but it was not a high quality setup. Instead, we did get a retest of the weekly key level, which is also my trade idea right here, that ended up playing out pretty well. But unfortunately, that happened after my loss and after my trading session, so I was not able to take it. But yeah, this provided a better opportunity since we were out of the range, the congestion area. It provided a nicer, cleaner range to the downside. Anyway, let's go down to the 1 minute time frame. I'm going to dissect the price action that led me to take these sells, and potentially how we could have gone into the sell of retest of the weekly break of structure 1681. So if I look at the 1 minute time frame, New York Open was right here. We came up, we had a initial test, and we started to reject this level here, right? So then when we came to the second time to retest, we created a double top. We saw multiple wick rejections here. An aggressive trader could have taken the sell right here, right around 8:30, and would have worked out pretty well. However, this, for me, I want a better confirmations of an ABC setup, and this was the ABC right here. Okay, so the ABC from this test here, we created this high. Now the A is this point here. This is a weak support being formed. So weak support being formed, or in other words, a retard trap, where buyers come in and fail to break, create a double top, which is the B. Right? So A is the weak support, B is a liquidity grab or a fail to break double top, and then the C is when we have the confirmation of 1 minute new lower low, breaks the structure, and a shift in the lower time frame structure. So once we get that confirmation, we're taking sells at the bottom of this ABC order block and looking to take the trade to the bottom of the range here. Now the stop loss was placed safely above here, which is 1.5 times the size of this of the ABC range here, which ended up being how big was that? It was a 43 pip stop, and I was looking for 87 pips to the bottom of the range. It ended up coming down pretty well. We had nice sell side volume here, but then it failed to break lower, and we started getting some bullish structure back in play, and ended up getting stopped out here. Now, I did not take a break even. This is not within my rules. I know in the long run, if I take break evens, I'm going to miss out on a lot of winning trades once it comes back to retest these liquidity areas and sell off after retesting my area. So I know through backtesting that price will often come and retest my entry and also come back down and hit take profit more often than it will stop me out. In this case, it did stop me out. And if I add the other factors that added to the pullback probabilities coming true, as I mentioned before many times this morning and in this video as well, with investors staying on the sidelines, being close to this demand zone, the US 500, the stock market's pulling back, DXY pulling back. It was not a surprise to me that this was a loss, but I am happy with it because it was a pre-planned idea. It fit all my system rules, and I took it, and it ended up being a loss, and that's okay. Now there's a second opportunity for sells here. Once we had the retest over here, now we're breaking down the 1 minute structure, and I'm waiting to see an ABC, a similar ABC pattern of basically a reversal pattern, right? Here we created this high, higher low, new higher high, higher low, new higher high. Here there's no sign of exhaustion or reversal yet, is there? There's none at all. It's bullish, right? When we come down to retest this zone, now we create a lower high, an actual double top in this area, and we start creating new lower lows here. So at this point, I've got a new sell side liquidity zone, this ABC setup, as a confirmation of my entry here. So again, ABC. A is a weak support being formed. B is a liquidity grab or a failure to break, double top, and then C is the sellers take over and form a new lower low. So at this point, we can take this sell once we retest the lows here, right at our weekly key level, and we got the nice sell-off coming from there. So this right here is my ideal selling point right there. Once we got the flip of structure, we had the buyers exhaust, we had lower high ABC liquidity zone, retest, take the sells, and it was pretty smooth sell-off to end the day here. So that was the trade of the day here on gold. Here this was a little bit premature. Again, if I'm looking at the 1 hour, it's within this ugly range. Again, it still fit my plan, so I'm not I would take this again, but I would have preferred to take this setup up here. The only thing is that the entry was around 1 o'clock, and for me, I'm not at the charts, so I was not able to get that opportunity. But it was also a pre-planned idea, selling at the weekly break of structure. If I look, this was written this morning. Number 2, deeper pullback to 1680, ABC rejection at weekly break of structure. This was a trade idea that materialized. Now on GU, there was no trade opportunity here as I was looking for a pullback to 1.12. Did not get price to hit 1.12. Instead, we had just a quick break above our 4-hour key level and then a sell-off. But my second trade idea was the break and retest here. So this is now going to be active as I'm looking for a sell at the retest of these lows to make it to the downside here. So no trade overall today on the GU, but it followed a similar path of the pullback and quick cancellation of the pullback. We actually created a new lower low here. So to continue overnight and for tomorrow, I'm still looking for sells here. I'm going to have to update my zones and my key levels, and I will do that tomorrow for my New York trade session trade ideas. But I know I'm going to be looking for sells to retest at this level for continuations, or if we go and create a new lower low, well, it's going to create new structure to take the sells. Anyway, it looks like US dollar strength is holding. We're going to be continuing to play that sentiment, but we'll watch as data comes in, and I'm going to analyze investor sentiment as a result of whatever comes in the coming days here. So that's it for today. Took a loss, but I'm okay with it as it fit my system. Missed a trade, a nice trade on gold that was pre-planned, and I missed it, and I'm okay with that because I was, it's also part of my system. I'm only trading between 8 and 11, New York session and London session overlap, so this is outside my trading window, so I'm okay to let that one go. And on GU, there was no trade idea that materialized for me. So that's it for the market update, and I'm signing off until tomorrow morning for the New York